say these are crazy times. Everyone out for themselves. Then one day I got a chance to sell my soul, and I took it.
All right, Mr. Ryan Kwanten, how you doing, man?
Very well, Chris. You look very dapper today.
You know what? I knew I was going to interview you. I've looked up your stuff. You always look nice. You have a better accent than me, so I was like, okay, I got to show up game on. So
You one up me.
no, you look amazing. Well, first of all, I'm so excited to talk about Expired. Obviously, I was able to see the film. Amazing, amazing. The first question I just kind of want to step into is, for you personally. When seeing this script, I read somewhere that you had been talking to Ivan about it for years. What was it about the Expired film, the script, the story that drew you to this film?
That it was something that needed to be said. And from a micro and macro level, from a micro, from the individual standpoint, it was a commentary as to how we've lost touch of ourselves. And from a macro, bigger picture world viewpoint, it was a cautionary tale as to we're fucking this planet up, and we best kind of get some perspective now before it's too late.
And you just touched on something. There were so many different stories I felt going on. Obviously, we have the love story with your character and with April. We have, your identity as somebody that has, kind of gone down this road of a hitman, talking about the world at a greater picture. There's so many different layers of this. You're on set, I mean, how do you tackle that as an actor? To a non-actor myself who's in awe of everything that you guys do, how did you take on the micro, the macro, and just make this wrap up in such a beautiful picture? How do you tackle that as an actor?
Well, I forget about those, I forget about a lot of that, to be honest. That's not when I'm working, it's the last thing I'm thinking about is the effect it's going to have. I'm just focusing on, honestly, it sounds sort of cliche, but I'm focusing on the truth, on telling the truth, throwing all my preparation out the window and just being there. And on a movie like this, with a visionary filmmaker like Ivan, you can truly do that. We were fortunate enough to shoot on the streets of Mongkok, which is in Hong Kong, one of the more densely populated areas in the world. And we don't have the budget to shut down those kind of streets. So Ivan kind of drew our small little crew together on the first day of shooting, just before we're about to go onto these mad busy streets. And he sort of said, listen, if we work within the chi of this city, it will give it back to us. And it won't even know that we're there. We will just meld into it. And sure enough, we open the door, head out, and Ivan starts shooting with the camera. I start doing my thing, and the people just moved and breathed along with us. There was no kind of us and them mentality. We were all in it together.
The city was more than just a backdrop. It almost felt like a character of the film, and you really captured that. And just being able to shoot on set, what was it like shooting on set? Were you shooting over the pandemic? And if so, how was that? Or in general, just how was it being in Hong Kong and shooting on location? What did that bring out for you as an actor?
Oh my goodness, it was pretty damn powerful. It was about 8 months before the pandemic, so it was sort of pre a lot of that stuff. But as you know from the movie, it sort of foretold a lot of the things that we're now kind of dealing with. One of the things that Sir Jack says to the guy who hires him for his assassin jobs is, "Oh, you got the cough." That sort of, everyone seems to get the cough. But look, you can't help but be drawn into energy of a big city. You really haven't sort of been to a big city unless you've been to a place like Hong Kong, where we're used to sort of our version of public distance, private space, whatever you want to call it. But there, it's just it's that you're living shoulder to shoulder with people, and that and to try and have a sci-fi movie in the middle of that sort of madness really sort of added to that sense of foreboding, I think. And then even more so to add a love story in the middle of all that madness, was a really brave feat that I think really works, because I think if you don't kind of highlight that there is a hope for us, then this movie can come off as, you know, a little solemn, but it's quite the opposite. I think it leaves us with a sense of hope.
I want to dive in the love story. I mean, you know, when your character starts in the film, I mean, you're an incredible actor. You could just see the loneliness and the just done, kind of just, you know, resigned. But then when your character Jack meets April, he goes down this whole other path. And like you said, it's this kind of dark, haunting movie with this beautiful love story. Tell me a little bit about how because I know Julian, she's a new actress to the game. How did you guys build that chemistry that you had to have in that film so quickly? And tell me a little bit about working off of each other.
Yeah, we originally started because I live here in the States, she's in Australia, but as soon as she was cast, and that was quite the process. I know Ivan, you know, took over a year to kind of find that girl, and he was willing to not make the movie had he, you know, unless he did find the right one. One of those damn scam likelies.
They're ruining this country, man. I get them too.
I don't know how you get rid of those suckers, but anyway, so yeah, it was so imperative that this love story, and any love story can only be told from sort of both the female and male. It has to be told from like the two perspectives, and so to get an actress that was willing to go to some pretty damn dark places here. You know, she's a hardened soul, and Gillian comes from sort of migrant upbringings, and she really brought a lot of the tough existence of her early childhood into this, and you can't fake that kind of stuff. An audience is too smart. They'll see through that in a heartbeat, and there's so much that's said in between the words here where there's an old quote, the presence is so much more than just being there. She was present in every which way, you know, and for me as her fellow actor on this, it was inspiring to work with.
Absolutely. And then of course we have another big titan in the film, you know, enter Dr. Bergman in the film, Hugo Weaving. What was it like working with him? I mean, he obviously in your home country, he's a legend, but he's a legend to us too. I mean, what was that like, being able to work on set with each other and play off that chemistry that we see in the film?
Yeah, Chris, you know what it's like. I mean, we both are in sort of those fortunate positions to sometimes meet our idols, you know, and more often than not, I would say they don't quite live up to the pedestals we put them up on. But Hugo is one of those rarities that seems to levitate above his pedestal. He is honestly a true enigma. He was so curious, so inspired by just life in general. To give you an example, he wasn't even supposed to be working on this one day, and we had to travel from Hong Kong on a ferry over to not Mongkok. Sorry, mate. Anyway, we traveled on a ferry across to somewhere, and Hugo's not even supposed to be working that day, but yet he turned up at where we buy our tickets to the ferry, and he's in full dress. And sort of said to Ivan, listen, I know I'm not supposed to be working today, but just in case you get 5 minutes, you want to shoot me. And Ivan stopped and he said, yep, great, no worries. He said, and he said, I'll even swing a boom for you. I don't care. I just want to be there. I was like, that's what you'd hope he would be, you know, and just watch. I was like a weird voyeur working with him, just even seeing him on the ferry, look out and like just in amazement at the cityscape, you know, around him. The dude just lives with a lust for life. It was so incredibly inspiring and couldn't be more giving as an actor as well.
I know you're making me want to have been on set. And you know, you have the Australian, I mean, you're here in the States and you have that Australian vibe. What do you love about working in Australia? Just, you know, I know you shot some of it in Australia, so you got to go back home.
Yeah.
Obviously watching this film,
Macau, getting a ferry across the Macau. Why couldn't I fucking remember that?
it's all good. For you, obviously, to me watching this, it didn't feel like an Australian film, but there's so much pride there that there was such a strong Australian presence on this. What do you feel like Australian cinema offers to the rest of the world, and why it's so important? I know I have a cousin that does film out there, and I know your country supports you guys so much in the film industry. They're really proud of it.
That's such a great question, Chris. It really is. And I think you hit the nail on the head. It's pride. We have pride in our stories and in our storytellers, which is why I've never shied away from going back there and doing those movies, because I believe we're so isolated there, but that sense of isolation can't help but be a hotbed of really good quality stories. Like Ivan has, you know, inherently made stories about the Australian desert and the indigenous sort of ways within those deserts. But this was such a call to arms of sorts, a wake-up call to the world at large to sort of say, listen, you know, wake up, because we're heading down a pretty scary path here. And I think that indigenous kind of viewpoint on it, which is the most Australian, that's what sort of shines through. There's that level of pride in the filmmaking, but also of being aware of something that we may not be. Does that make sense? Like he's seen, you know, they existed in a world long before technology did, and seeing the way that we're investing in machines and in technology, and we're not investing in the human condition.
That's what I felt watching it. I mean, just reminding you, obviously I grew up in a time before, you know, you'd go to a friend's house to play video games. Now kids can play from their house and stuff. And so it really had that message. You know, I know the film comes out on the 18th. People can watch it. Why do people have to go see it? What is sort of like your underlying message that you want people to make sure that they watch this film?
There's a couple of reasons. It has something to say. I'm done with watching stuff. I don't have the time to watch stuff that isn't going to move me, that isn't going to kind of make me feel something, you know. And we really went out of our way to sort of inspire people to kind of get off the couch and get out there and make a difference to themselves and to the people around them. Yeah, I think art has that, and sci-fi in general has that beautiful ability to kind of transcend. And yeah, ultimately, I think that's what we want, man. Just get out there and enjoy the 102 minutes and take it with you. Don't forget about it the moment the credits roll. Let it stay with you.
Lastly, because I have a couple minutes left, you know, one of the things that I really liked about the film is you find out, you know, the more that you fall in love with April, you know, I don't want to give too much away, but stuff starts happening to your health. Can you just give a little quick snippet of like what that was like for your character, Jack, just that struggle between like his identity and love and his health, and why, for me, that was the most powerful message of love that came out of it for you as an actor, or for your character, why people are going to really sink into that storyline, because that was my favorite of the film.
Thank you. Yeah, it's that the one thing that truly made him feel most alive is the only thing that can kill him. You know, and I think it raises that question of, would you want to live forever if you had to live without love? You know, what's it worth to you?
Absolutely. Well, beautiful. Well, everybody has to go out and see it. I was lucky to see it. Such a good film, man. Such a good actor. I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, I see a picture of surfing. Is our surfing in the States as good as Australia, or not even, doesn't even touch it?
Look, it's so long as you're getting out there, you know, you're getting your soul quenched so long as you're getting out there, even if you're just looking at it, man. Yeah, no, you're good.
I am with you.